I am so excited to be here today with TJ Wallingford, who reached out to me a couple months ago, 3 months ago, something like that. She's been taking classes in My Star Alchemy that have just been blowing her mind. And also, when she shared with me, it blew my mind. It expanded my awareness around what's possible with this and what we're doing and how this is so incredibly magical. And I think that we live in a world that has lost touch with magic, lost touch with miracles, and partly because we just don't pay attention. And so TJ is an astrologer. She's been taking these classes to add into the starry realms because it's as above, so below, as above. We are the unforming the mysteries, they're informing us. We have this relationship that we lost, and how when we have a greater connection to the stars and what they're telling us, always telling us if we're open to listening and hearing, then we can have this more amazing, uh, active experience. And I think, TJ, your experience really speaks to this in a way that just it lights me up just to think about it. So thank you for being willing to share your story with us, and looking forward to what you want to say about it, how this all came about for you.
Thank you, Kaylin. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you. The story I think I need to rewind starts back in 2010. And so in 2010, I had a dream. In my dream, I'm standing on the bank of a river, and beside me are the twins, Remus and Romulus, who I didn't have names for at the time. It's just through research since having the dream that I discovered that they were Remus and Romulus and the she wolf, and they were nursing from the wolf. And I'm standing on the bank of this river. This river is purple, and the sky is like shades of pink with these big black clouds everywhere, and it was very otherworldly. And so there was an island, and on the other bank, I knew my brother was there. And so I felt a strong desire to cross the river and go see my brother. And so I stepped onto this island and in one big leap made it to the other side of the river. And I found myself at this hut. I opened the door, and there in the real world was my cousin Guy, who had passed 3 years earlier. And he sees me and just starts to panic and say, "No, you're not supposed to be here. You need to go back." And so I turned to go back, and the island was gone, and I had no way to get back across the river. So this dream haunted me. I talked to a couple of different dream therapists, a tarot instructor, other astrologers, trying to understand this dream. And everyone just came up with this blank. Everyone had different kinds of theories around, it was my grief for having lost my cousin, who, by the way, we were raised for a period of time as siblings. So, everyone thought it was coming from a place of grief. And then fast forward to this winter. And I was taking the Stellar Gateways class, and I was on the Procyon class. And Kaylin, you
Well, let me just
shared.
interrupt you for a quick second so people will know that the stellar gateways, we've done three classes in My Star Alchemy, one on the magical stars, the Bohemian stars, one on the zodiacal constellations and how we can understand them now with different seasonal signs overlaying them. So that one. And then the last one we did was the stellar gateways. And we looked at that as the winter triangle and the summer triangle you see in the sky. You see the winter triangle most easily in the winter time, and you see the summer triangle most easily in the summertime. So that's why they're called those triangles. And there's three stars that represent each of those triangles. And so we were looking at, there's one star in the winter triangle, Sirius. Most people know the star of Sirius. It's the brightest star in our night sky. And that's our solar system is moving away from that. And as we were tuning into it, we started to get this sense that this was the stellar gateway of our ancestral origins. And then in the summer triangle is Vega, the where our solar system is moving toward. And so we were having the sense that it is the stellar gateway of our divine destiny. And so there's in this winter triangle, there is Sirius, Procyon or Procyon, depending on how you want to pronounce that, and Betelgeuse. And Procyon, and Sirius are very much connected to your dream, which you're going to tell us about in a moment. And then in the the summer triangle, we have Deneb, the tail of the swan. We have Vega, uh, the in the Lyre, in the constellation of the Lyre, Vega, and it was the pole star 13,000 years ago. And then we have Aquila, the eye of the eagle. So those are the three stars that make up the summer triangle. Okay, so now we have that basis. Continue.
So as I'm literally about halfway through the Procyon class, you specifically, because you and Eric co-teach the program, and you specifically brought in a myth associated with Procyon about she and her sister Sirius once stood on one side of the river, and their brother Canopus was on the other side of the river.
And
And
the
the river,
river being the Milky Way river of stars that goes through that part of the sky. So there literally is a river of stars there. So yeah,
yeah,
so the myth makes sense from that perspective.
yes. And how Sirius left Procyon behind and crossed the river to go see her brother. And when you shared that myth, I I it brought back this dream from 15 years ago. And in bringing back the dream, I'm sitting there going, is it possible? Was that my dream? Were the stars speaking to me then? And I just couldn't recognize what was being said. And so I right away jump on the computer and I thought, okay, I remember it was the characters Remus and Romulus and the she-wolf. And how does that tie in to the sky, to what we see in the sky? And of course, Procyon is part of Canis Minor. And when I was using my star app for looking at the night sky on my phone, Procyon or Canis Minor shows up as a wolf. It has more of a wolf kind of appearance, whereas Sirius shows up more as a hound. And then right above that, of course, is the constellation of the twins. And we know them in their Greek form as astrologers. And um, the story of Remus and Romulus is, of course, also the twins. So Remus and Romulus with the she-wolf in exactly that same location as they appeared in my dream. As I'm assuming I was Sirius in this particular context, and I was traveling to visit my sibling, in this case, my deceased cousin, across the river, which was the Milky Way.
This is just so amazing. And also Castor and Pollux were the Greek version of those twins. One was immortal, one was mortal, and that constellation looks like a Roman numeral two. So
That's
that it looks like two beings standing side by side. And then Procyon is below that. It's just all in this area of the sky. So when you start to put those pieces together, then that dream makes absolutely total, total sense in terms of that the stars were speaking to you. They were giving you some insights. And this was long before you ever, 15 years before you took the class to be able to put those
15
pieces
years.
together. So
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And what I also didn't know then is that my natal moon is conjunct Sirius. And so there is a very personal relationship to this star. However, at the time, I didn't really understand fixed stars. I hadn't studied fixed stars. And so I was tapping into literally the part of the sky that impacts me in a very personal and ancestral kind of way without understanding that that was what I was tapping into. It was all too foreign in terms of information for me to be able to um, digest it in such a way that I could understand it. That is until the Stellar Gateways class.
Yeah. So, and really, if we think about it, we have been disconnected from the sky as a culture. And probably purposely so, because the stars are always speaking to us and can guide us and help us and support us and inspire us, all of that. But we have to know it. We have to have you had that inspiration, but you didn't know because you didn't have that connection. And so years later, when you get the connection, now it all starts to make sense. And so it's like, oh, the stars really are speaking. And I do have a relationship with them. And it's a very personal part of like where the moon was when I was born. Oh my gosh. That's so it's like high magic if we think about
It
it.
is.
Magic.
It is.
Mm.
And it didn't end there. The magic continued. I'm sure Neptune opposing my natal sun wasn't hurting this process in January when all of this was happening. So fast forward to we're now January. I am in a meditative state with the purpose and intent of connecting to Morgana for a class, a different class that I'm in. And instead of connecting to Morgana, I end up connecting to the great celestial goddess who appears to me. She presents me with a silver fox and she tells me to trust the fox. The fox will lead me to my divine destiny, to my divine purpose. And so the fox creeps down her, ginormous arms. I mean, she's, this greater than life presence, and it curls up around my shoulders. And in as part of that message, she tells me I'm made of starfire, and that for me to better express my starfire, I need to dress in certain colors that will better support, my journey. And so I thought, oh, that was totally not Morgana. That was not the experience that I was, I guess, hoping to experience, but that's okay. We just accept what comes. And I journaled and I wrote it down. And then I started doing some research about the silver fox specifically. We all have, I'm sure, general ideas around what fox represents as a message, as a totem, etc. But silver fox, I thought that was quite unique and specific. So what I learned is that the silver fox originates everywhere on the planet. It originates, it's a mutation that is most commonly found in northeastern North America. And I'm originally from Quebec. I was born and raised in Quebec, and then from there traveled, into the US and then over here into Western Canada, where I'm currently at. And so I thought, oh, that's interesting. Again, there must be some kind of an ancestral tie or link to the fox. And then, because I'm that type of person that I honor what comes, the fox had asked me, find me. I've lived a life well lived. Find me that I may live out the rest of my days with you. And I actually found a silver fox pelt, which I
Oh,
then got to accompany me on so that we may journey together and so that it's easier for me to connect to this fox. Fast forward to it was weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, again doing the Stellar Gateways class. This time we were on Lyra and studying the asterism of Lyra in the gateway of divine destiny. And this time Eric was presenting, and there's this image of this fox that is under the Lyre and Cygnus. So right in the gateway, right in the middle of the gateway. And my jaw drops. Now, in this image, the fox has been painted red as typical conventional fox. And then it occurred to me, is that the same fox? Because it appeared to me silver. and black and looking like stars in the night sky. And so then I did a little bit of research on that fox, and sure as heck, there is an asterism called Vulpecula is the name of the asterism. So it's the asterism of the fox. And traditionally, it was a fox with a goose in its mouth. And in modern times, they've removed the goose. And again, I grabbed my app on my phone to find it, and there it was in all its glory, this fox in the gateway of divine destiny.
So it's
And
leading you because the goddess said, "Let the fox lead you to where you
let
need to
the
go,"
fox
right?
lead you.
So
Yes.
it's leading you, and this is and Vega in that in that asterism is leading us, or
Yes.
we're going towards Vega, and it's leading us into new territory. So it just like lines up so perfectly.
And Vega, by the way, is a wide conjunction to my North Node.
And North Node representing your destiny. So you have this magical star connected to your destiny in the gateway of our divine destiny. I mean, we really can't make this stuff up. I mean, we could, I guess we could try, but it's just so amazing. And here's the thing I love, love, love that you shared this with me, TJ, and then got me lit up about it. And now we're sharing it with everybody because we don't often celebrate the magic and miracles that are happening around us and within us every single day. It can come through dreams, it can come through other forms, it can come through having a conversation with somebody and then something suddenly makes sense. But we need to celebrate these things. We need to celebrate the magic that's happening because then more magic will happen, more miracles will happen, more pieces will come together. We start opening our awareness, we open our eyes to and our consciousness to these possibilities and how the stars are always speaking to us and that it's connected to why we're here. This is connected to why you're here. So this is helping you on your path for fulfilling your divine destiny.
Mhm, mhm.
That is just so amazing and so cool. So, if is there anything more you want to tell us about these stories?
That's basically it. It was a matter of the reason I reached out to you is in my immediate environment. I mean, my mind was so blown. I was just flying high with excitement that a dream I'd had 15 years for it to come to a place of my understanding what it was referencing. And for two, I mean, just the miracle of it all. And in my sharing, in my meet, whether it be my children, my husband, all lovely, loving, supportive people, friends, people in my spiritual community, and they'd say, "Oh, yeah, that's cool," and then they change the subject. I mean, how can you change the subject? This is so beyond cool. This is incredible. So for me, I felt like the magic was slightly being diminished in the fact that it wasn't relatable to others. And so I reached out to you. I wasn't sure if you'd even read the email or what. I just reached out. I just wanted someone to say, yes, bravo, that's wonderful. That's it. Little did I understand that it was going to lead to this conversation we're having in the here and now, although I do appreciate. But yeah, I just, because it is so miraculous, um, I was shocked at how underwhelmed some people seem to be. And then when you and I had this conversation earlier, you shared with me that you yourself were inspired to create this class in this way with the naming of the two gateways of ancestral origins and divine destiny. And so I thought that was particularly brilliant how we, not knowing each other, living in different countries, having had similar downloads, informing us of the same use or energetic qualities, I guess, to these particular parts of the sky.
Yes, yes. And the thing is when you were taking the class, we were wanting to teach this class, and then the information came in. It was just so amazing. And then you're taking the class and the information comes in because we have our awareness open to what is possible, and to be asking and to be connecting, and to recognize that our ancestors had a relationship to the stars. They built standing stone circles and pyramids and petroglyph sites and all those things to track the relationship to the stars and to the seasonal cycles and to all of this. And this is stuff that we just don't really have such a strong thing for, but it's changing because so many people are now starting to awaken to, oh my gosh, we need to reignite our relationship to the stars because they have a lot to tell us. We need to open and expand our minds and our awareness to these possibilities. And that, my favorite saying, I say this all the time, and anybody who's listening to this, who's ever listened to me before, probably heard me say this, is we're informing the mysteries as much as they are informing us, because we are the embodiment of the mysteries. The mysteries evolve and grow and have expression through us. And when we are tuned into that, and then so having that relationship, that conversation, that ability to go back and forth between these two things, it just expands everything in such a beautiful way. And then, like you said, it just lit you up. And then it lit me
Oh,
up. And
good.
now we hope we are lighting you up with the sharing of this, because this is what's possible. This is what's been lost and we're now getting back. And just so good. So tell us a little bit about what you do, TJ, and how, and I will put in the show notes ways for people to get in touch with you, but just tell us a little bit about that and then we can wrap this up.
Sure. I'm an astrologer, and I look at yearly cycles, as well as I specialize in locational astrology. And so that is, I think, really in a nutshell, what I'm best known for, um,
That's
is,
something I just want to say about locational astrology too, is basically it's looking about, like, at the moment you're born, how are the planets lined on the earth? How is the great above um, like energy lines being activated at that time? And then how those energy lines can be great places for us to go experience, to move to maybe. Sometimes that doesn't always work out, and sometimes you wouldn't even want to move there, but maybe you'd want to go visit, all of those things. So it's really bringing the sky to the earth, doing locational astrology. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
So I interrupted you, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, I with locational astrology, that in itself can be super, super magical. Depending on the clients, oftentimes people are just like, yeah, those places are already on my bucket list. And it's like, I'm not psychic. I didn't pick up on the fact that these are on your bucket list. It literally are places. So there's two kinds of clients that often will come to me. There's the client that is attracted to the things that will best support them. And then there's the type of client that will be attracted to those places that will have the most lessons for them to learn. And so some of it can be more challenging than others, and it's all good. The point is to just inform, so that the individual is then free to make the choice that feels most aligned for them.
It's really about awareness, and then how do you work with what it is that you know about that place? Because I know people that live on so-called lines that are not really good, but it's taught them so much, as you said, it taught them so much, empowered them so much that if they hadn't been there, they wouldn't have had those experiences necessarily, or maybe not in the same way. So that can be one of the gifts of knowing that. And it's important to also be resonating with the land and the people if you're going to live there. So I don't live
Yeah.
on any of my specific lines, but I got called to where I am, and it's been 46 years I've lived here. So and it won't let me go. It just won't let me go. And I do love it. And I do feel like I have a very deep connection to the land and to this area. So but also I just will say, I my first trip to Scotland back in 1997, I found out that I had Uranus on my ascendant or on my descendant there. I can't remember which one of those on that line. And it was so life-changing. And so the things that happened were so unexpected and so amazing. I was like, man, that really works. I remember having that realization, like, wow. And I'm not necessarily going to go live there, but I love going there and having the magic happen because Uranus is going to be outside of the ordinary. So yeah.
Well, and something to keep in mind too. I haven't seen your chart, so I can't speak to your specific Uranus. Oftentimes, certain planets are being vilified, but if in the native's chart the planets are actually well aspected and well supported, then there is less challenge likely to be associated with that particular line. And oftentimes the opposite can be true. A line that is often considered to be supportive can actually be a bit of a detriment, if it's not well supported in the person's chart initially. So really, it goes beyond just looking at, Venus, Jupiter versus Mars, Saturn. It really, it really is a little more complex than that. And so a good solid foundation in astrology is
Plus, when
important.
you know, and if there's are challenging things, you have awareness around it if you're like there or going there or whatever. And then you can do the intentions, you can do the ceremonies, you can do to support you to get the most out of that experience. So that's another reason that could be amazing to have that awareness and then be able to work with it consciously because nothing's ever good or bad. I mean, we might feel like it's good or bad, but it's not, it's it just is. It just what is. And then if we have awareness around it, we work with that, and then it becomes an opportunity rather than something that's going to feel like I guess challenges change us. So, challenges are not necessarily a bad thing either. It's just how we look at it. So, yeah.
Exactly. Perception is all of it, really, because when, that old saying, when one door closes, another one opens. So you may be in a super what is perceived as a healthy relationship in this location, move with your partner to a place that maybe is less supportive to that relationship ends. It can be devastating, and yet you may find a new relationship that has that longevity that you were craving in the first place. But that secondary relationship could not have come in without that primary relationship ending.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so true. And the other thing is that you can also go through cycles that can speed up the ending of a relationship. Right? It's like, okay, this is done, now this is done, but it opens up the space for something else to come in because you got what you needed out of that. And yeah, so it's all in how we look at it. It's really important for us to keep in mind that it's all happening for us, not
Yeah.
necessarily happening like to us in a way that, but it's happening for us to get us to where we really intended to go. Our soul most wants to be. So yeah, I love this. I love having this conversation with you, TJ.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a treat.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much. And so be sure to check out the show notes. There'll be links that you can contact TJ if you want to, go down the relocation or the locational astrology rabbit hole. It's a pretty fun one. Or whatever, check her out. And also one of the things we didn't mention, but it's just kind of seed a part two is that Sirius, the star Sirius, at around 14 degrees Cancer, it's a 14 and some minutes of Cancer, is going to have a Jupiter Venus conjunction pretty exact in August of this year. And because this is so personal for you, TJ, and I think it would be really fun to have another conversation about um, first of all, the star Sirius and how it's so amazing and magical, and then to have Venus and Jupiter come together with this star. And I feel like I want to do a little research and see how long it's been since that has even been possible as well. So stay tuned. We will be back. And thank you all so much for being here. And hope you found this illuminating and exciting and inspiring. So, yeah. So, bye.